I'd like to now, for the second panel, introduce a person who I have the honor and the privilege to serve with, as my other colleagues do. We are in his congressional district here in Los Banos, a gentleman who I think is one of the truly strongest advocates I have the opportunity to serve with on behalf of the people of California and our valley, and that's Congressman Dennis Cardozo.
Thank you, Jim. Ladies and gentlemen, because Mr. Snow has to go to that funeral, we want to offer him that courtesy. We know you have questions for him, so he has 5 minutes before he has to leave. Lester, why don't you come up and let's take the allotted time and questions. The first question, I promised him that I would turn it over to him for the first question that we had today from Senator Jeff Dinham. Jeff, would you like to make, and we have someone with a handheld mic. Thank you for being here, Jeff. This one is camera mic.
Thanks, Lester. Most of my questions are actually have more to do with the federal level, but certainly there are some statewide concerns here that we've discussed in great detail, both on a short-term and long-term basis. But first of all, on a long-term basis, I understand that we've all worked very hard on a water bond. The biggest question that I've always had on this new water bond that has grown much larger than any of us would have ever liked to have seen. Is there a guarantee that we will, if this is passed, if we can convince voters of this, is there a guarantee for Temperance Flat?
Yeah, the short answer is no, but not a guarantee. The way the bond was set up, and Dave Cockdale was very influential in the way he did this, is that it prescribes specific surface storage facilities that are eligible for the funding. And it really comes down to Temperance Flat and Sites Reservoir that are the most eligible under that. So the reason I say there's no guarantee is that and we've been working with Bryant, and I'm sure Ron's going to want to talk about this, what will get that project over the top is a strong partnership with the local community and the state to develop a good competitive project. But it is competitive. So that's the reason I say no guarantee, but there really is a Sites Reservoir and a Temperance Flat. And Temperance Flat has a lot of attributes, not the least of which is what we're talking about here today, to be able to have water supply reserves. So it's a very strong competitor.
Lester, as a follow-up to Jeff's question, does that mean to summarize the criteria, is it whichever reservoir provides more water, or is it more location of the water, or what do you think that criteria turns out to be?
And actually, I mentioned those two projects. They both can get funded, so it's not an either or. And the way the criteria is set up is that the state of California, the taxpayers will pay for the public benefits associated with the project, and those that get water supply out of it will pay for that portion of the project. So for a Temperance Flat, for example, that can provide flood control benefits, certain fisheries benefits, probably some water quality benefits that the public can pay for, and then the water supply could be paid for by Bryant, by Westlands, by whomever wants to participate with the local entities on it.
Perfect. Jeff, we'll let you have an opportunity to ask the federal officials specific questions. I'd like to let Lester answer one more.
Two more follow-ups with them?
Sure. Ask them both at the same time.
Certainly on the same issue, you said it could be either sites or either Temperance Flats. I understand that both of them are furthest along in the environmental review process ahead of every other project. But it could also be neither, correct? Neither project could get funded, even though we convinced the voters that they need to spend $11 billion on water reserves. In fact, depending on who the next governor is and what their opinion on our water situation is, they could certainly not appoint to this new board or appoint positions to the board, or decide that no water projects get done, no above surface system. So let me also add, on a short-term basis, you did also say that immediate action the exemption to the Endangered Species Act may not be the only solution, but part of our problem is obviously we all recognize a drought. So if this weren't a drought year, say we just have a great water year this next year, what would the allocation be for both the east and west side farmers? I would assume on a great year they would all get 100% allocation, but I'd like to have you explain that.
There's a piece of that Ron would have to answer about east and west side. The last time there was 100% allocation was an extremely wet year, 2006. So to really answer your question precisely, I can only do that with the State Water Project. If this ended up being an average water year, our allocation would be in the 70% range. And with the two biological opinions, absent biological opinions, and Wanger ruling. So if you took that away, we'd be in the 70% range, 68, 70%. With the biological opinions, we're in the 20 to 40% range. So it has that kind of impact.
Did you just say that if we have an average water year with the restrictions in place, we're going to be between 20 and 40?
Yes.
All right, then.
That's on the State Water Project. State Water Project.
And Fed?
That
Much
I don't
worse
know.
than that.
It would be different than that, and I don't know whether Ron wants to speculate about that. The storage, on the storage projects. First of all, the $11 billion bond has $3 billion for new statewide storage, and so that's the pot of money that sites in Temperance Flat is eligible for. And because of concerns about the legislature and its willingness to fund projects, that portion of the bond is continuously appropriated, meaning the legislature no longer has a role in the appropriation of those funds. It goes directly to California Water Commission. And so the governor will be appointing all 9 members to the Water Commission within the next 30 days. And so that's the group that will go through the process of deciding how to allocate that $3 billion for storage projects.
I think we have one more time for...
Neither could get funded, depending on who the next governor is and their opinion. Neither project could get funded.
I mean, I would always say anything can happen in California. I'll start there. But the governor, we get this commission established, and actually the governor has no role in that decision either. It's a continuously appropriated fund. The legislature's out. The California Water Commission serves terms, so it cannot automatically be replaced by the next governor. There is no reason that those projects are not competitive. There's been an awful lot of work done on both sites, and especially, I think Ron may speak to this when he has an opportunity. It's a very competitive project, a motivated local group. There's no reason that they will not get funding.
If they get funded, aren't they still subject to law?
We're going to take it one at a time. Okay, one. Now, does any other water user have questions for... Go ahead.
What's the status of 2 gates?
I probably can't give a precise status, and again, maybe David or Ron will want to add. But as I understand, what is now, 2 gates has been proposed as an experimental project that if the theory of 2 gates worked, it might be able to keep the smelt separated from the pumps. And if so, minimize the number of take of those and the number of restrictions. As a baseline to figure out that science, the U.S. Geological Survey is doing an experiment on sampling turbidity and smelt, and so that's preceding the actual construction of the 2 gates project.
So we've missed it for this year so far, right?
It will not be constructed this year. Is that correct?
Lester, thank you for your work and your information.
Thanks.
I appreciate you being here today. We're going to continue. And please give our heartfelt condolences to the families of those who lost their lives in that accident, Lester. We're going to continue with, and we're going to try and move it along because we have already exceeded almost an hour and a half of our allotted 2 hours. We got a lot more to cover. The water agencies on the west side, east side and south valley, we're going to call up Francis Mizuno from the Delta Mendota Water Agency.